Good morning. A good old-fashioned vlog for you on this glorious Saturday summer morning. Good morning and welcome. My name's RichyVida. Thank you very much for being here. Got quite a few things to talk about this morning actually. Just heading out for breakfast. Thought I'd take the old DE because I'm taking this to Spain for the third instalment of the Picos de Europa residency with Wildbed. As all my routes are imported into the Zumo that I have on the Africa Twin, that stays on the Africa Twin, I'm choosing to use this Aooccii CarPlay unit. It's bloody brilliant actually, this is. And I know tons of you have bought the unit actually through my link, so thanks very much. Obviously that puts a little bit back into the tank for me, puts fuel in the tank, thank you. But yeah, you can't go wrong with it. I mean, you know, I made that video on this, link above my head by the way, if you want to watch it. Full CarPlay unit with camera. Oh dear, baby badger. That looks fresh. Please stay out of my garden. That's a baby. Don't like to see animals hurt. I'm not touching it. Yeah, you can't go wrong with this. Cheap as chips in terms of its competitors. Does everything exactly the same as the others. It's Apple CarPlay. You plug it in, turn your ignition on, and it fires up straight away. Cameras are rolling straight away. It's got front and rear cameras. The quality is amazing. It's amazing. Considering it's £150 price tag, I think it's a bit cheaper than that. And actually, because now so many of you have bought the unit, Aooccii got in touch with me and said we're increasing the discount available now as a thank you to me for, you know, introducing their product. So I think it's a 22% discount you get if you use my link. Again, down in description should you want to choose one for yourself. Fits to any bike. You've just got 3 wires, positive, negative, and ACC, which is your ignition wire. That confused me at first, but it's a doddle. Absolute doddle. If you've got an auxiliary socket under your seat or anywhere on the bike that switches on with your ignition, you need to find the correct polarity. So literally get your positive and negative on. It'll say turned off. Plug your ACC wire into the back of one of those terminals, turn your ignition on. If it turns on, that's the correct one. If it doesn't, it isn't. Put it in the other one. And just connect it in, piggyback it. It switches on immediately and starts filming with the cameras. You don't need to do anything, it just starts filming. And yeah, you've got all your apps for CarPlay, so fixes to any bike as long as you've got somewhere to house it. There's all kinds of different mounts you can use, but with the DE you've got the crossbar there, which is perfect for it. Anyway, I digress. You will also notice that I'm on the Insta 360 Ace Pro cameras. Very first maiden voyage, so we'll get back to this later in the video. We just fold that down. Still being a bit ginger with them. Anyway. Yeah, so I'm taking the DE to Spain using my routes that's also imported into Kalimoto that are on this. So I'm using Kalimoto this morning to take me to the old Smithy Cafe in Monash. I know exactly where to go and how to get there, but I just thought as I'm using this for Spain, I want to get familiar with the CarPlay version of Kalimoto. I would like to see, because I'm used to the Zumo, I would like to see the route being a thicker line rather than that skinny little line. I don't know if there's something in settings that I can adjust, but I would like to see a thicker line. Right, let's chat cameras. So if you've been watching recently, you will know that I've had a bit of a grump and fell out with GoPro because I'm just sick of them letting me down, constantly letting me down. I never know whether it's filmed, has frozen, or what. You just don't know because the camera doesn't really tell you. The camera itself doesn't freeze. The camera itself shows that you're filming and everything's great. The light's blinking and ticking away like this is. So as far as you're concerned, as far as it should be, you're filming, aren't you? but then you get home after the fact and realise that you've just got a frozen frame. The camera has carried on filming, so it's got all the audio, but it's just a frozen frame. That's it. That's happened so many times. Like my Morocco trip, for instance. Although, you know, that turned out beautifully and I'm so pleased and proud of it, there were bits on that I couldn't include because I got frozen frames. But obviously you'll not know that because I didn't show that. But to me, I'm like, oh, that bit was fantastic, but you just can't use it. So instead of being disheartened, I just thought, you know what, enough's enough. My PCOS 1 series, I got 2 days. Half of the first day had gone. Second day behaved itself. The rest of the trip, either no audio, no internal audio, or frozen frames. So I just binned it. Just a nightmare. So there, my friend I'm coming to meet this morning, Jay from Crazy Legs on a Bike, he kindly lent me his DJI Osmo Action 4 cameras, 2 cameras. Thank you very much, pal. I do appreciate that very much. It's, you know, it's a lot of money to just lend out to someone. But anyway, so I borrowed those cameras with, you know, I wanted to just treat them with respect, first of all, because they're not my own, but treat them as tools, because that's what we want. We don't want to be fanning around, you know, being careful or being ginger with them. I just wanted to clamp them on the bike and use as I do all the time, and I did. Well, the whole thing rendered amazing footage. Did not once let me down. There was not a single frozen frame, not a single dropped audio. Filmed it all in 10-bit D-Log, which is a completely flat profile, which looks it's like a cinematic, totally desaturated, totally no contrast, just completely washed out. You can't use it, basically. You can't use D-Log for the end user. I mean, you've got to color correct it, and I love doing all that myself. So rather than having the camera bake in what it thinks is, you know, the best, if you film it in D-Log, you can color correct it yourself from scratch, basically. Looks like we're going off-roading because this road's closed. We've got to go off-road for a sec. Where is it? Yeah, road closed. Yeah. Overgrown? I don't think I've ever seen it this overgrown. There's the belly pan. Even though I've done this trail a million times, it's different nearly every time you come down it. Pop this up a sec, I'm getting a bit warm there. Whew. Belly pan. Steady through the farmyard. Right, let's get back to it. Thank you for that. Yeah, so I borrowed the DJIs. They performed flawlessly. I loved everything about it. The audio control, like I say, filming in D-Log. You'll notice the first 3 episodes of the PCOS 2 series using the DJIs, because it's D-Log footage and I'm color correcting their D-Log footage rather than what I'm used to. I was still kind of fine-tuning my color correction settings, so colours in first episode and second episode were a bit different and a bit off in places, but by the third episode the colour correction's bang on, absolutely bang on, and you know, the clarity, everything about it is just spot on. Batteries last. Anyway, let's get on to these cameras. So I was in full DJI mode, all set for getting my own DJI cameras, and just then the kind folks at Insta360 swooped in and said, we'd like to send you a couple of Ace Pros to try. I'm like, oh, well, that's good. It couldn't come at a better time. Whether they were spying or what, I don't know. You know, they intercepted the whole DJI. They intercepted the competition, didn't they? Whoosh, jump in there, give him some of these instead. Anyway, so thank you very much to Insta360 for sending me the Ace Pros. They sent me a box full of good stuff, actually. They sent me the X4 as well, and every accessory in their catalogue. I think it must be. Box are massive. Again, going back to things I've said before in the past about the channel, you know, you get offered things all the time. I don't have to say it's good if it's not good, just so we're all on the same page. So, because I'm in full DJI mode, these, I'm going to give them my full testing. I'm going to put them through the paces, and I'm hoping that they stand up to it. Because I'm taking them to Spain, I'm going to do exactly the same. So I'm going to check in battery life, stability in terms of reliability. This is my first ride out with them, but I've gone through loads of different settings at home and around the block yesterday, but this is my first proper ride out. So at the moment I've got the audio. You can, again, this one's very similar to DJI, very, very similar. I've got the gain set to minus 18 dB, which basically keeps the voice exactly the same. I'm going through all the different settings, and in the editing software and the audio metering, I could see that regardless of what I did in camera to increase or decrease the gain, it made no difference to the outcome level. So it couldn't peak. It couldn't peak, which is interesting. But what it does do is reduces. If you reduce it, it basically takes out all the other stuff. So, you know, too much wind noise or too much bike noise. So at the moment, I've got it set reduced to its maximum, minus 18 decibels. So the audio is, as you can hear, super clean. What I'm left with is a really good quality audio that I can then lift, and that's what I've done. So that's a very big point. Again, you can do that with the DJIs. I'm not going to compare everything to the DJI, but because, like I said, my heart is set on that, you know, these have got a big mountain to climb. But I have faith. They've got some very, very, very cool features, but we'll get into that in due course. This is just an introduction into, you know, I've been saying I'm getting the DJIs, I've moved to DJI, and now all of a sudden I've popped up with Instas. It's because they've sent them me, and I'm going to try them out, and I'm going to give it everything I've got. One thing I did notice with the testing yesterday on this is it's got active HDR, and normally with cameras it's a nightmare if I've got the sun behind me. For instance, with this camera, let's say, if the sun's behind me, it will throw everything out, like really out. You know, I'll be black. It'll expose for the sun, but then if it exposed for me, all the sun behind me would just be a massive white splodge. Whereas this, I noticed yesterday, I came out of the garage, again just testing, came out of the garage, sun was up, it was lovely. I was still completely properly exposed, and so was the sun and the sky and the clouds, perfectly exposed. Quite bizarre, but bloody brilliant. Yeah, so that active HDR is bloody brilliant. Again, the settings and features we'll talk about in due course, all controlled by this GPS preview remote, so I can see exactly what I'm looking at. And this controls both cameras. It switches them on, it switches them off, starts recording almost in perfect sync. So again, that removes extra work in post-production. There's probably a half a second difference, so for all intents and purposes it's in sync. It's just if you're like me and you have serious attention to detail issues, you might want to just drag it across that half a second. Not that anyone would ever notice. I do. If you're doing things, you're doing them properly, aren't you? You don't need to actually touch the cameras anymore. You can just do everything through this. So this changes the aspect, the settings, everything you want to change is all done by that, which is pretty good. Going back to the Aooccii, before we pull up, we'll be there in 3 minutes. 4 minutes. Going back to the Aooccii, because I've sold so many of them, they also sent me, this is the C5 Pro. They've also now sent me the C6 Pro, and I've gifted that to Gaz. So Gaz is going to fit it on his bike. So we're going to be able to show you the difference between the C6 Pro and the C5 Pro. This is the 5-inch screen, that's a 6-inch screen essentially. Similar price, the C6 Pro is probably a tiny bit more, but not much different. But yeah, so you'll have two different ones to choose from. Same thing with the cameras, same thing really, it's just a 6-inch screen rather than a 5-inch screen. So yeah, Gaz is having that one fitted to his bike, and we'll cover that again in due course. But again, all links to anything I'm chatting about, not to the cameras yet because they haven't earned me trust. After today's ride, they may well be included. We shall see, eh? We'll see how we get on. But yeah, this definitely is fantastic. Grab yourself a really decent bit of tech, CarPlay for any motorbike, and for not much money at all. But yeah, lovely unit, looks really nice, great features. Cameras look absolutely fantastic. And it's just recording to the memory card that's inside there, should you ever need any evidence. Well, I do like how it starts. The second you turn it on, it starts recording and stops 5 seconds after you turn it off. Right, we're here, the old smithy. If you've never given this a shot and you are in the vicinity of the Derbyshire countryside, do pop in and try it. It's a lovely breakfast, it's an amazing setting, beautiful village. Here we are, look. The old smithy. Morning.
You all right?
Good, mate, how are you?
All right,
Good to see you. Right, see you after breakfast, folks. I've enjoyed it today. It's been a good run out. Really enjoyed it. If you happen to watch the Morocco series I did at the beginning of the year, I made a video not long after it had finished saying that I would be doing a Q&A video based all on Morocco, and that's still not been made yet, purely because I've been too busy with one thing and another. But also it's kind of nice to leave it alone for a bit. One, you'll have forgot your questions, and two, I'll have, it's not fresh in my mind the whole trip, so it will be nice to revisit it and read the questions in real time. I've got tons of questions from you all that have still not been read or acknowledged, so I will be filming that shortly. It'll be nice to revisit that, actually. We'll be heading off on our PCOS 3 tour in a couple of weeks, so we're halfway through the summer residency. Full new group, 16 riders I think. For anyone else that may be on the ferry, we'll look forward to having a beer with you. We're on the Portsmouth to Bilbao on the way out. I think it's on the 2nd or 3rd. No, it's the 3rd. Arriving there on the 5th, if I remember rightly. It's the two night sail, evening sail. So yeah, do say hello if you're on the ferry. Thanks very much for watching all. Please do subscribe, it supports the channel, it supports me, I appreciate it very much. Please give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and do leave a comment. Just click that picture of myself at the very end. That's the subscribe button. Simple as it could be. It's completely free of charge, just in case you were wondering. It's a matter of just clicking it, pressing subscribe, done. All links down below, like I said, for the Aooccii. Link down below now with a 22% discount should you decide to buy one. And also, just before I go, if you have inquired about next year's tours and I've not replied, don't worry, got your email, and I will be in touch as soon as I have got dates and prices for next year. But yeah, if you're enjoying the PCOS trips coming through at the moment and you do fancy having a go at yourself, do drop me an email, rich@wildbadtouring.com. And that also goes for the ladies. We've only ever had one lady on the tours after all these years, and I don't know why. So please do, if you fancy coming, you'd be more than welcome. I might even be up for doing a ladies only Let me know if that might be something you would like. A ladies only tour, small group. Let us know in the comments below. Right folks, I'm off. Thanks very much for watching. I've been RichyVida. I will see you on another one sometime soon. Be good, be careful, and be kind.